Story by Amma. No one noticed when the first student disappeared. Not because he wasn't loved, but because everyone assumed he was somewhere else. That's how it always starts. A quiet hallway, an unlocked door. A girl who listens better than anyone else ever has. She didn't threaten them. She didn't chase them. She only asked one question. Do you want a place where no one will hear you? By the time the school realized students were vanishing, the room was already listening. And once it listens, it never forgets. This isn't a story about monsters. It's about how easily people follow when they think they're finally being seen. The Girl in the Empty Wing. Episode 1. The Quiet Girl. Iris Holloway arrived on a Monday when the sky was the color of old tin. That alone should have been a warning. Nothing good ever entered Northwood High on days like that. Days when the hallways felt narrower and the lockers slammed a little harder, as if the building itself was irritated by the presence of teenagers inside it. She stood in the front office while the secretary finished a phone call, hands folded neatly in front of her, eyes lowered. Her posture was perfect. Too perfect. Like she'd practiced how to take up as little space as possible. Transfer student, the secretary said when she hung up. Bonjour, year. Name's Iris Holloway. A few students glanced up from the plastic chairs lining the wall. No one smiled. No one waved. Iris didn't seem to expect them to. She followed the guidance counselor down the hall without speaking, shoes making almost no sound on the waxed floors. In first period, she took the empty desk by the window. She didn't introduce herself when the teacher prompted her to. She just stood, said her name clearly, and sat back down. No accent, no nervous laugh, no attempt to look friendly. That was the first thing people noticed about Iris Holloway. She didn't try. By the end of the week, teachers adored her. She turned in assignments early. She didn't talk. She listened with an intensity that made adults feel intelligent and important. When they asked if she was settling in well, she always answered the same way. It's quiet here, she said. I like that. Students, on the other hand, didn't know what to do with her. She wasn't pretty enough to resent. She wasn't strange enough to mock. She wasn't loud enough to notice. So they ignored her, and Iris let them. She watched instead. She watched who walked alone between classes, who flinched when shouted at, who lingered after the bell rang. By Friday, she knew exactly who to talk to. Episode 2. Mason doesn't go home. Mason Reed hated going home. Everyone knew that, though no one talked about it directly. His parents worked late. His house was always dark. He spent hours wandering the school after dismissal, pretending he had things to do. Iris noticed him on her third day. He was sitting on the floor outside the art room, sketchbook balanced on his knees, pencil tapping in frustration. She stopped beside him. Not too close, not too far. You're good, she said. Mason looked up, startled. What? Your drawings, Iris said. They look alive. That was all it took. They talked for 20 minutes, about nothing important, about how loud the cafeteria was, about teachers who talked too much. Iris never volunteered information about herself. She asked questions instead. Finally, she stood. There's a place you might like, she said, if you don't want to go home yet. Mason hesitated. Where? The East Wing. He frowned. That place is shut down. Not completely, Iris replied. Some doors still open. She didn't wait for him to answer. He followed her anyway. The East Wing smelled like dust and old water. The lights flickered like nervous thoughts. But Iris walked confidently, as if she belonged there. She unlocked a door at the end of the hall. Inside was a classroom that felt wrong. Too clean. String lights lined the walls, dim but warm. A rug covered the cracked tiles. The desks were arranged in a loose circle. "Whoa," Mason breathed. "You did all this?" Iris nodded. "It helps me think." He smiled. "This is amazing. Like a hideout." "Yes," she agreed softly. "That's what it is." She closed the door behind them. The click of the lock sounded loud in the quiet room. Mason didn't notice. Mason Reed never went home that night. His parents assumed he was staying with a friend. The school assumed he was skipping. His friends assumed he needed space. By the time anyone realized he was missing, the East Wing had already swallowed him. Episode 3. The Room That Listens. Iris added Mason's name to her notebook that evening. She wrote carefully, pressing the pen just hard enough to leave grooves in the paper. Mason R. Talked too much, didn't listen. She replayed the recording once before bed, not because she enjoyed it, but because it was important to remember. People always changed their stories afterward. Their fear rewrote them. The recorder didn't lie. The hideout became better with time. Iris improved it with each visit. She reinforced the door. She learned which pipes carried sound and which absorbed it. She memorized the schedule of the security patrols. Soon, she invited another student, then another. Each one entered believing they'd been chosen. Each one thought Iris understood them. And in a way, she did. She understood how fragile people were when they thought they were finally being seen. The chalkboard message changed. Safe place became, "You can say anything here." They always did. That night, Iris sat alone in the hideout, legs crossed on the rug, lights glowing softly above her. She pressed her palm flat against the floor. The building hummed faintly, like a sleeping animal. "This place listens," she whispered. And somewhere, deep in the East Wing, something shifted. Episode 4. The Pattern. By October, the school had learned how to forget. Mason Reed's name lingered for a week, on attendance sheets, in whispered conversations, in the cautious tone teachers used when asking if anyone had seen him. Then the machinery of routine rolled forward again. Bells rang, homework piled up. Someone else's life became more important. Iris noticed how easily it happened. Loss, she learned, was loud at first, and then unbearably quiet. The second student was Talia Gomez, a sophomore who cried in bathroom stalls and pretended she had migraines to avoid gym class. Iris met her at the sink one afternoon, passing her a paper towel without a word. "You don't have to explain," Iris said gently, when Talia apologized for crying. That was the key phrase. You don't have to explain. People were so tired of explaining themselves. Talia followed Iris 3 days later. The third student was Brian Kessler, a boy who joked too much and listened too little. Iris already knew how that would end. She invited him anyway. Patterns needed consistency. By the fourth disappearance, the school counselor began using the word coincidence in meetings. By the fifth, the administration asked teachers not to speculate. By the sixth, Iris had perfected her process. She varied the invitations, sometimes casual, sometimes concerned, sometimes conspiratorial. She never forced anyone. They chose to come. That mattered to her. Inside the hideout, she sat across from them, recorder hidden but running, eyes attentive. "What do you want most?" she asked. The answers were always disappointing. To be loved, to be left alone, to start over. None of them understood what those wishes actually cost. When it was over, Iris cleaned carefully. She washed her hands. She rewrote her notes. She sat in the quiet until her breathing matched the building's low hum. The notebook filled steadily. Names crossed out in straight, deliberate lines. That was the pattern.
Episode 5. The Girl Who Watches Back. Lena Park didn't believe in coincidences. She believed in variables, in cause and effect, in the way numbers always told the truth if you knew how to read them. That was why chemistry made sense to her, and people didn't. She noticed the absences first. Mason Reed, gone. Talia Gomez, gone. Brian Kessler, gone. Different grades, different social circles. Same timing. Lena also noticed Iris Holloway, how she never seemed surprised when desks stayed empty, how she always smelled faintly of cleaning solution, how she wrote nothing in her notebooks during class, and yet aced every test. Lena began to watch her the way she watched reactions in a beaker, quietly, patiently. She followed Iris one afternoon, keeping far enough back to avoid suspicion. Iris moved with purpose, not like someone wandering. When she slipped into the East Wing, Lena's stomach tightened. No one goes there, Lena thought. She waited 5 minutes before following. The hallway felt wrong, too still, too muffled. Lena's footsteps sounded louder than they should have. At the far end, light glowed under a classroom door. She pressed her ear against it. Voices. One was Iris's, soft, encouraging. The other was unfamiliar, strained. "I just wanted to stop," the voice said. "I know," Iris replied. "That's why you're here." Lena's pulse hammered. She pushed the door open. The room froze. String lights cast long shadows across the desks. Iris sat calmly in her chair. Another student, Evan Brooks, stood near the chalkboard, eyes wide, face pale. For a moment, no one spoke. Then Iris smiled. "You weren't invited," she said. Lena took a step back. "What is this place?" "A listening room," Iris answered. "You should leave." Evan looked between them, confused. "Do you know her?" Lena swallowed. "Evan, come with me, now." Iris's smile faded, not into anger, but into something colder. "She's watching now," Iris said quietly. "That changes things." Lena grabbed Evan's arm and ran. They didn't stop until they were out of the East Wing, gasping, hearts racing. Behind them, the door closed and locked. That night, Lena couldn't sleep, because she knew one thing with absolute certainty. Iris Holloway had been seen, and Iris Holloway would not forgive that. Episode 6. The Ones Who Escape. Lena Park didn't speak to Evan for 3 days. Not because she didn't want to, but because she didn't know how. Once you named something terrible, it became real, and Lena wasn't sure the world would survive that reality intact. Evan, on the other hand, unraveled quickly. He jumped at locker slams. He stopped answering texts. He refused to walk anywhere alone. In class, his eyes kept drifting to the door, as if expecting it to lock itself. "She said something to me," he whispered on the 4th day, sitting beside Lena in the library. "Before you came in." Lena closed her laptop. "What did she say?" "That everyone thinks they want someone to listen," Evan said. "But what they really want is permission." "Permission for what?" He shook his head. "I don't know. I don't think she finished the thought." Lena felt cold. They weren't the only ones. 2 other students had stories that didn't quite line up with the official narrative of runaways and family issues. A freshman who claimed a girl with grey sleeves tried to lead him somewhere quiet. A senior who said she'd felt watched near the East Wing and refused to go back. They all shared the same detail, the same calm voice, the same promise, the same place. Lena started writing everything down: dates, names, locations, behavioral changes. She treated it like a lab experiment, except the variables were human and the outcome felt inevitable. When she brought it to the counselor, the woman smiled sadly. "You're stressed," she said. Disappearances make people imagine patterns. But there is a pattern, Lena insisted. The counselor closed the folder without reading it. Try to focus on your classes. That night, Lena dreamed of the East Wing. In the dream, it was breathing. Episode 7. What the school refuses to see. The school held an assembly. They called it a wellness check-in. A police officer spoke about staying safe. The principal spoke about community. A counselor spoke about resources. No one spoke about Iris Holloway. She sat in the third row, hands folded, listening intently. Lena watched her from across the auditorium. Iris didn't look nervous. She didn't look smug. She looked patient, as if this was all part of a longer process. After the assembly, new rules appeared overnight. The East Wing was officially sealed. Teachers were told to report unusual behavior. Students were encouraged to walk in groups. It looked like action. It wasn't. No one reviewed security footage. No one audited attendance records closely enough. No one asked why the disappearances stopped exactly when the wing was locked. They didn't want answers. Answers meant failure. Lena confronted the vice principal after class. "You're protecting the school," Lena said. "Not the students." He sighed. "You don't understand how serious accusations work." "I understand math," Lena replied, "and the odds of this being random are impossible." He gave her the same look everyone did, the one that said, "This is too big for you." That afternoon, Iris passed Lena in the hallway. For the first time, she stopped. "I don't like being misunderstood," Iris said softly. Lena's heart raced. "Then explain." Iris leaned closer. "You already know," she whispered. "That's why you're dangerous." That night, Lena found an email in her inbox. No sender, no subject, just a single sentence. "You shouldn't watch things you aren't ready to see." Outside her bedroom window, the street light flickered, and somewhere, far away, or maybe very close, the East Wing waited. Episode 8. The Last Invitation. Iris knew the East Wing would not stay closed forever. Locks were symbols, not barriers. They existed to reassure people who didn't understand patience. For weeks after the assembly, she did nothing. She went to class. She raised her hand occasionally. She smiled when spoken to. She watched Lena. Lena grew thinner, quieter. Her notebooks filled with diagrams of hallways, timelines, names connected by arrows. She stopped sitting with friends at lunch and chose corners where she could see entrances. Fear sharpened her. Iris admired that. The invitation had to be perfect. It came on a Thursday, handwritten and folded neatly inside Lena's chemistry notebook. "I know you want the truth. Meet me where it started, after school. Come alone." Lena read it 3 times before her hands began to shake. She considered telling someone. She considered calling the police. She considered burning the note. Instead, she packed a flashlight into her backpack and memorized the location of every exit near the East Wing. Because if she didn't go, Iris would simply choose someone else. And Lena could not let that happen. The East Wing door was still chained shut. Iris was waiting beside it. "You came," she said, as if there had never been any doubt. "Let me guess," Lena replied. "You want to explain yourself." "No," Iris said. "I want you to understand." She lifted a key Lena had never seen before and unlocked a maintenance door hidden behind a trophy case. The building swallowed them whole. Episode 9. The lock that breaks inside. The hideout had changed. The string lights were brighter. The chalkboard was clean. The desks were gone. Only 2 chairs remained, facing each other. "This is where it ends," Lena said, forcing steadiness into her voice. Iris shook her head. This is where it becomes honest. Lena noticed the recorder immediately. You kept evidence. I kept voices, Iris corrected. Proof that people tell the truth when they think they're safe. Safe? Lena snapped. You killed them. Iris tilted her head. Did I? She pressed play. Voices filled the room, overlapping, layered, familiar. Confessions, anger, relief. They came here already broken, Iris said. I didn't cause that. I just stopped pretending it would fix itself. Lena stepped back. You decided who deserved to disappear. No, Iris replied calmly. They decided. I only closed the door. Lena's foot hit something on the floor, a loose tile. She remembered Evan's words. She didn't finish the thought. Lena dropped to her knees and yanked the tile free. The sound echoed. Wrong, loud, violent. Behind the wall was a narrow passage, a way out. Iris's expression changed for the first time. Not fear, but disappointment. You weren't supposed to find that yet. Lena ran. Iris followed, but the building betrayed her. A door slammed shut, triggered by the vibration of the tile snapping back into place. The lock broke. Alarms screamed. For the first time, the East Wing spoke loudly. Episode 10. After the wing opens. Police lights painted the school red and blue. Teachers stood in blankets. Students cried. Parents demanded names. They found the hideout. They found the recorder. They found the notebook. They did not find Iris Holloway. Lena spent hours giving statements, her voice hoarse, hands trembling. Every word felt unreal once it left her mouth. The East Wing was dismantled piece by piece. Behind the walls, investigators found evidence of absence, drag marks, chemical residue, spaces too carefully cleaned. Enough to know something terrible had happened. Not enough to know where the victims were. The school closed early that year. News outlets descended. Experts debated. Administrators resigned quietly. Lena was called a hero. She didn't feel like one, because sometimes, when she walked past the empty lot where the East Wing used to stand, she swore she heard footsteps keeping pace with her own. And months later, after the story faded, after the fear dulled, an email arrived in her inbox. No sender, no subject, just a single line. You listened better than the others. Lena closed her laptop slowly. Somewhere, in a new place, with new hallways and new quiet corners, Iris Holloway was listening again, and the pattern was ready to begin.